advisor have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Ms. Welch, this is your daughter, and it is your claim that you extended a loan to your daughter and her husband when they needed some money. You had an agreement with them that they would pay you back that money at the rate of $25 per paycheck from you, sir.
Yes, sir.
And they paid you back some. Then you had an argument, and there were no further payments on the loan. And your daughter says that they did, in fact, one time take a loan from you. They've paid you back in full, and she has no idea what you're talking about with this other loan of $2,100. Is that right? When was the last time you took a loan from your mom?
Christmas of 2004.
How much was it for?
I can't really tell you an amount because I never received the receipts.
I don't care whether you receive receipts.
I was with her when she bought the stuff, and
Explain that to me. You were out shopping?
Correct. Every year, my mother and I went shopping the day after Thanksgiving. We would go through the ads on Thanksgiving Day and decide what we might want to buy our children for Christmas. And we would discuss what Christmas presents she would put on her credit card that my husband and I would pay for later. But I know for a fact it did not total $2,100.
Is this the loan you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am. I have my credit card statements.
Can I see them, please? Okay. What was purchased at Steve and Barry's? What kind of store is that?
It's a clothing store, and it was closed for Dana and Trevor.
And what was purchased at Nebraska Furniture?
We had gone there and we had purchased DVDs that were on sale and some other little things.
Toys R Us in Omaha.
That would be mine.
Radio Shack.
That's mine.
There is also a bill here for $288 for Shopko in October. Do you know what that is?
It's for 2 Christmas presents for my son and my stepdaughter.
How much did you pay back?
Out of his check, we've paid back $575 just from his paycheck. And then also in February of 2005, I had received my income tax check and I had borrowed $25 from my mother. And when I received my income tax check, I deposited $25 plus $200 into her account at that same bank.
Did she deposit $225 into one of your accounts?
Yes, she did.
So then it's
25 of it was for the 25 that I gave her.
Fine, so that's
the other
200.
200 was a $200 toward their car payment because they had not given me the car payment.
Why do they give you their car payment?
Because it's in my name and I want to make sure it gets paid.
Why is it in your name?
Because they don't have good credit.
But Your Honor,
Are you paying for the car, by the way?
yes, I have never
Your
missed
Honor,
a payment.
they did not pay me $375. I have the receipt.
$575.
No, they did not. They gave me $300 out of his paycheck.
You have proof
and
that
that's
you
all.
paid her, You have proof that you paid her $575 out of your paycheck?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see it, please?
I have the deposits right here from my bank. Not all of that money went toward the loan. All they paid me through deposits into my account was $300.
You may say that, madam, but this amount comes up to $575.
Your Honor, we're talking about Christmas presents purchased in 2004.
Miss Welch, I want to tell you something, madam. It's difficult enough to try to ferret out non-familial lawsuits when there are loans. When there's family and you have complicated your financial structure with your children, as far as some are car loans, this is a Christmas loan, you don't expect the courts in this country to waste their time ferreting that out because you had a fight with your daughter. That's not going to happen.
The fight with my daughter, Your Honor, is because of them neglecting their children.
Miss Welch, what I'm telling you is courts are not going to do that. This court is not going to do that. I will take a look at your bills and try to make a judgment as to overall how much of this money was paid back. But if you expect me to go week by week and figure out how much of the $25 went into your bank and how much maybe went into a loan for a car and how much went, just listen to me, it's not going to happen. And if what you're telling me is that the fight with your daughter was precipitated by the fact that you felt as if they were not doing the right thing with their children, I'm telling you that you got to take your nose out of her business.
Leaving their children home alone at night for 10 hours?
Miss Welch, what I'm telling you is you have to take your nose out of their business. And if you feel as if your grandchildren, because of the neglect of their parents, are legitimately at risk, and you've said to your daughter, I don't think it's a great idea to leave the kids home alone. Not a great idea. And she doesn't listen to you, and you have a substantial and legitimate concern about your grandchildren, you call Child Protective Services and let them do an investigation. And the only way you keep your mother's nose out of your business is to not take money from her. How many children do you have?
We have 5 children, Your Honor.
You have 5 children. So you're mature enough to have 5 children. I assume that if you couldn't take care of them, then you wouldn't have had them, because that would have been irresponsible, right?
Correct.
But you can't take care of them because you have to keep borrowing money from your mother, which means that you didn't have enough money to have 5 children. So that's irresponsible. If you can't support 5 children, you don't have 5 children. But once you take money from your mother because you're irresponsible, then she feels as if she has the right to say to you, you're not acting responsibly with my grandchildren. But the fact is, you weren't responsible because you had too many children that you couldn't take care of. You say no, I'm saying yes. You're standing there, you look like an idiot. And what you've done is, you've taken a relationship that was a good one, and if your mother said to you, I don't like my grandchildren staying home alone. How old is the oldest child?
12.
And how old is the youngest child?
She's 2.
A 12-year-old cannot watch a 2-year-old.
My 12-year-old doesn't watch my 2-year-old. My 2-year-old's in daycare.
We're talking about when the children were home by themselves.
They weren't home alone at night. We actually took our children to his mother's every single night and picked them up every single morning.
Did you ever
before
tell your
school.
mother that the children were going to be home alone?
No, she deducted that herself, ma'am.
She came up to that conclusion on her own.
No, they told me that on the night after Thanksgiving when Dana made it my business that he was going on nights the 1st of December. I said, who's going to take care of the kids? We're leaving them alone because Dana can come home from work every hour and check on them.
Okay. I want to tell you that that's wrong. Absolutely 100% wrong. Because if Child Protective Services came 5 minutes after she left and found the 12-year-old in charge of 3 children, they would remove all the children from the house.
Well, they haven't let me see the kids since.
Okay. Well, that's a tragedy. So I'm going to tell you this. The only relationship that you can count on forever is hers.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I gather that for a long time things were very good. Now you're saying no.
No.
She's an idiot. Unfortunately, she's your idiot.
And later today,
Here's one hole in the wall Dana did. Here's the hole Dana put in the wall when they were really fighting one day. I would get in the middle of it so it wouldn't.
Just a second.
Oh, I would never get punched.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bridget Welsh says her daughter and son-in-law owe for unpaid loans. Tanika and Dana Mulicki are countersuing for the return of Tanika's engagement ring and harassment.
Listen, she's dumb as this. Unfortunately, Miss Welch, in this country, and I say unfortunately from the bottom of my heart, the Supreme Court has not taken a positive position with regard to whether grandparents have the right to seek visitation with their grandchildren if their children are denying them visitation. If I were the queen of the universe and running the world, it would be different. It would be different because dumb ones like this don't appreciate the fact that children need the widest possible community of love and affection. And even if you're not getting along with your mother, that doesn't mean that you cut your children off from a grandmother who was, for most of their lives, a positive influence. I gathered that for a long time things were very good. No, you're saying no.
No.
She's an idiot. Unfortunately, she's your idiot.
Ma'am?
Unfortunately, she's your idiot. You can't tell me things weren't good, madam, because then you would be a taker. Because then when you say to me, I would go shopping with my mother the day after, put your hand down, the day after Thanksgiving every year, that suggests to me that you had an ongoing relationship with your mother. Now you say no.
It was
Listen,
an off and on relationship.
it may have been off and on for you.
And it was off and on for her. She would tell me numerous times to stay out of her life. You're dead to me. You don't have a mother. She told my
I never
12-year-old.
told you that.
Miss Welch,
She told my
Miss Welch, listen to me. She's doing revisionist history because you're not paying attention.
I
My
am paying
statement to you is, I don't care what kind of relationship you have with your mother, and I don't care whether your husband has a good relationship with her either. What I'm saying to you is, if you are a good and loving parent, you don't cut your children off from their grandmother.
My son cut himself off from her.
All right,
my
good.
son
Listen,
is 12 years
listen
old
to
and
me.
understands.
Listen to me. I think that they still owe you $1,400, and that's what you're going to get as a result of this lawsuit. Now, you have some property that they say belongs to them. What property?
She's got an engagement ring that was given to me from my ex-boyfriend, who is my son's father.
Do you have an engagement ring that belongs to her?
That ring was given to me, Your Honor, for a loan that I made her.
Listen to me. Listen to me. She wants it back. I don't know why he wants it in his house. He doesn't. But she wants it back.
She also has his Nintendo 64 that we can't replace.
son's Nintendo.
My son's that we bought him personally for
He
his
is-
birthday.
What was it doing in her house?
He took it there to play it when he'd go to her house because she doesn't have. She lives in an area where he can't just go outside and play with friends. She won't allow him to go outside and play with the neighbor kids because she says everybody
So just
uses
a second.
drugs
So
in
just
the
a second.
area.
So you allowed this child, your son, to take his Nintendo 64 game to your mother's house because he spent time there. I'm speaking. Answer the question.
Yes.
Listen, she's limited. It's not my fault she's limited, and maybe it's not your fault. The Nintendo 64 game, listen to me.
Trevor gave that to me, Your Honor, to keep at my house because he got an Xbox and I had also purchased him a PS2.
Listen to me very carefully, Miss Welch. The ring and the Nintendo 64 game are to be placed in a box, mailed back to them, and your check for $1,400 will be held until it gets back to them. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The final straw was when she told my 12-year-old, I'm dead to you and you do not have a grandmother.
My oldest said until she changes and changes her attitude, he doesn't want anything to do with her.
I just hope that the Lord takes care of my grandkids.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Benson Hopkinson versus Slintz. Step forward, please.
19-year-olds Whitney Benson and Dana Hopkinson are suing their former roommate, Derek Schlintz, for breaking their lease. Derek says the couple's actions forced him to move out.
Who's Benson?
I am.
Miss Benson, your boyfriend, Mr. Hopkinson, signed a lease with the defendant on a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment. I assume you had been friends before?
Yes, Your Honor.
It didn't work out, and Mr. Schlintz?
Schlintz, yeah, exactly.
Schlintz moved out.
Yes.
As a result of him moving out, the two of you, according to you, were evicted because you couldn't pay the rent. You ultimately settled with the landlord. You want him to be responsible for half of the fees. The defendant says that he had every intention of being a good roommate, but the two of you fought all the time. There was constant arguing in the house. He felt as if that wasn't an environment he wanted to live in. And the final straw was when somebody went into his room when he was away for Thanksgiving or something and rummaged through his room. How much was the rent on this apartment?
$745 a month.
And how was that rent split?
He paid a half for his room and his bathroom. We paid a half for our room and our bathroom.
When did you move into the apartment?
September, I believe.
September of 05.
July.
It was July.
Oh, July.
Let her speak.
Oh, sorry.
And when did you move out?
I moved out in December 4th, 2005.
Why did you move out, sir?
Pretty much it was unsafe. All they did was fight all the time, constantly. I mean, here's one hole in the wall Dana did. Here's what Whitney did, kicked in the good old-fashioned cabinet. Here's how I left the apartment all the time, dirty. Here's the hole Dana put in the wall when they were really fighting one day.
Can I take a look at those things?
Yeah. Here's when they broke in my room. They broke my plant on my fridge.
When did you take these photographs, sir?
December, right before I moved out.
Who put the holes in the wall?
One of the holes is mine. Yeah.
Why did you put a hole in the wall, sir?
We were arguing one night and
Who was arguing?
me and Whitney.
I would get in the middle of it so Whitney
Just a
wouldn't-
second.
Oh, I would never get punched.
Just
I
a
was
second.
never-
Just shh.
Sorry.
Did you make them aware of the fact? I mean, slobs are slobs. I assume that you're not so neat either, right?
True.
Did you ever make them aware of the fact that you were acutely distressed as a result of the domestic disputes that were going on in the house?
No.
Well, that's a problem that you have, sir. You have to make them aware of that and allow them an opportunity to correct it before you move out.
That was fine and everything. That really didn't bother me as much. The fact that they broke into my room when I was on vacation.
Well, tell me about
really,
that. Tell me about that.
I put a lock on my door, and pretty much I came back and things were broken, things were moved. My bed had got spilled soda on it.
Did anybody go into his room when he was gone?
I did.
No.
For what?
To get plates and everything. We were cleaning up the apartment.
And it was my own room and my own space, and that's what I paid for, and they weren't allowed in there.
Well, did you tell them that you didn't want them to do that?
Yeah, and that was the last straw.
No. When did you tell them you didn't want them to do that?
Yeah,
Go in my room
Yeah.
after they broke in.
Well, that's not good enough, sir. You have to grow up, too. I mean, the fact that the three of you decided to play house together is probably not a wise idea, but you have to grow up. You can't just say, I'm not happy here, and keep that to yourself, and not give your partners, because they were your partners, an opportunity to correct their behavior. You can't just sulk and call your mother and say, come pick me up, I want to go home. This is not a dorm room. This is a lease. You can't be a baby. You can't stick other people with your debt. Can't
I
do
just
it.
did think that they should break in my room when I paid for that.
I don't care. Listen, these were your friends. If you needed something in your room, he didn't go in there and trash your room. He did not go in there and trash your room. You say something was moved out of the way, and it was here, there was a
It was
soda, there was...
broken.
Listen to me. You have to put him on notice. You can't act like a baby and call your mother. Is that what you did to come pick you up? Who did you call?
No, and I went and looked at the new apartments.
Who helped you move out?
His mother,
Who
his
moved
father.
you out?
Who moved me out? My parents did.
Right. Well, you can't do that. How much are you being sued for?
A total of $4,470.67.
When did you move out?
We were evicted January 4th. They gave us 3
Yeah.
days.
Why were you evicted?
Couldn't make the payment.
Well, he lived there until December. Did you pay December's rent?
I did pay December's rent. I moved
So
out
why were
December
you
4th.
evicted?
We made an agreement with him after we found out he was moving out. He was going to pay his part of his rent still, and so that's
a
why
lie.
we continued to
Why
live
would I
there.
pay rent? I'm not
Just a
living there.
minute. I don't understand, Mr. Hopkinson. He moved out in December. He had paid December's rent. According to you, you got evicted January 4th. January 1st is a holiday. Second, everybody's still waking up from their hangover. Then you move out on the 4th because you say you were evicted. I don't believe that unless you didn't pay December's rent.
No, we paid December's, and me and her paid January's rent, our part of it. And he was supposed to pay his part, never did, and they served us our eviction notice.
Why would I offer to pay somewhere I don't not live in it?
He made
Well, you were mistaken, by the way, as to your responsibility to pay. So I'm here to tell you, you're going to pay because you had no reason that I find valid to leave. Okay. How much was your half of the rent, sir?
$740. I just gave him one check for all the bills. It was $745 divided in half.
And it went through May 30th?
And then when it did go
May
to the-
31st.
when it went to the attorney's office, they did add on
More attorney's
fees as well as interest.
I don't care what they added on. $1,862.50 is what his half of the rent is. Shouldn't have gone to collections.
I offered to pay, but they couldn't come up with theirs, and they couldn't take my name off it.
When did you offer to pay?
I offered to pay right after I moved out. I said, let's buy it out. I mean, we got the notices.
And what did they say?
They said that they don't have the money right now.
We
They
didn't
couldn't
have
do it.
$1,500 to pay for a buyout.
Well, then that's not his problem, that's your problem. You also have a certain responsibility that when you have a roommate, they're supposed to be able to enjoy the peaceful use of their apartment. And there had to be a reason why this guy, who's a friend of yours, moved out of the apartment. There had to be a reason. That's neither here nor there regarding this lawsuit. Regarding this lawsuit, if he was prepared to pay his half to buy out of the lease and you didn't have the money, that's your problem. The fact that they added on an additional $1,000 or $2,000 for fees, that's not his problem, it's yours. He owes you $1,862.50 for his half of the rent for the remainder of the lease. The rest of the problem is yours. That's all.
What is our excuse? You may step out.
I think maybe he was secretly in love with me.
It's either her or me.
Now, this is case number 322 on the calendar in the matter of Canberra versus Texera.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat.
Miss Canberra, the defendant is your cousin, and she was kind enough when you needed her to allow you to move into her apartment, according to your complaint.
Yes.
And then, according to your complaint, she unceremoniously told you that you were no longer welcome in the apartment and told you to leave. It is your claim that you left certain property in the apartment and you want that property back. Ms. Texeria says that you took everything, practically everything that belonged to you when you left. She has a couple of backpacks or something with some stuff that she's more than willing to give you, but you want $1,000 from her.
Yes.
When did you move into the apartment with your cousin?
It was in March of 2006.
Where had you been living?
My father's.
And why did you leave your father's
I was
house?
having problems with my stepmother and she didn't want me there anymore.
Had you ever lived with your cousin before?
Yes, I did last summer.
Why?
Problems with my stepmother.
How long did you stay with her last summer?
For the summer, that's it.
Did you pay her any rent?
Yes, I did.
How much rent did you pay her?
$400 a month.
And where were you working?
I was working at Honeydew, AccuBilliards, and Prince Matt.
So you stayed with her 2 months?
Yes.
And you paid her $800 for the 2 months.
Yes.
Is that right?
That's incorrect, Your Honor.
Did she pay you anything?
She gave me $40 one time, and another time I think she had like $15 on her, and she gave me $15, and she said, I'll give you money when I can. Other than that, that was the only money I ever received from Carson. She wasn't working the most of the time that she was with me. She was fired from her job. So I was paying
That's
everything.
a lie.
Ms. Canberra, you want me to believe that you gave her $400 a month,
Yes, I did.
and you've always worked?
Yes, I did.
Now, you moved in with her in March. Where were you working in March?
At that time, I was out of a job.
So
Shortly.
you weren't working continuously.
The last time I just lived with her shortly, and then maybe like 2 weeks after I moved in, I got a job at McDonald's.
How much money did you pay rent at your father's house?
I didn't have to pay at my father's.
So you must have saved a lot of money.
I had a car payment and insurance I was paying, which was taking all my money.
When did you buy the car?
I got the car September 2005.
So how were you able to give Ms. Texeria $400 a month
That
if the car
was-
payment was taking up all of your money as well as the insurance?
I was paying her $400 a month last summer of 2005.
You didn't have a car?
And then I did.
So you weren't paying for a car then?
Yeah, yes, I was.
You get where I'm going?
Yes. I
Now,
wasn't
you
paying
moved
as
in with
much.
her in March. How long did you stay with her?
I was there until the last week of June.
And how much rent did you pay her?
She didn't ask me for anything.
Well, why do you think she wouldn't ask you for rent from March until June when you paid her, according to you, $400 a month when you lived there with her in the summertime? And if you were working,
Because I was trying to get on my feet and trying to save money to get my own place.
when did you leave?
The last week of June, she asked me to stay at my boyfriend's for the first week of July because she was going away on vacation and that I could come back after she came back. When she came back, I went there and that's when she told me I couldn't live there anymore.
Okay. And what stuff do you claim you left there?
I have clothes there, I have shoes, I have a cedar chest that I made in my senior year of high school, I have 2 cases of CDs, I have a radio there, I have blankets, I have backpacks there.
What do you have that belongs to her?
I have her CDs. I do have some blankets of hers. I don't believe there's any clothing. Her shoes were on a rack inside the room that she was staying in of mine. She took all that. She emptied the drawers. The only thing that she left with me is I believe, her high school diploma. I have pictures, photo albums, and a couple backpacks that have things in it. If they have clothes, I'm not sure. I didn't go through her things. I moved everything down to the basement. I don't have room
And
to
it's
store.
all packed up and ready
It's all
for her?
packed up. She packed it up herself. I gave her several chances to come back and get it.
Did you charge her rent?
I asked her several times, and she didn't have the money to give me rent. And she was not working most of the time that she was with me.
That's not true.
Your Honor, I gave her money for cabs to go find a job. I gave her money for different things that she needed that she asked me for. I bought her food. She very seldom, a few times she bought groceries when she was going to cook something for herself if I wasn't home. Other than that, she had my food. She borrowed clothes of mine that she damaged. There was just so many things that I did for her that it's ridiculous.
You still with the boyfriend?
Yes, I am.
Are you living with the boyfriend?
No, I'm not.
Who are you living with?
I'm staying with friends.
You pay rent?
No.
How old are you?
20.
A new wave of diplomatic activity is underway as negotiators push for a ceasefire in Gaza for weeks. The conflict has brought devastating destruction and unbearable loss, leaving families desperate for peace and leaders under pressure from all sides. Now, there are signs of momentum in talks, but analysts caution that a breakthrough will depend on one key step: Israel halting its bombing campaign. Without this, the fragile process risks collapsing before it can deliver relief to millions of civilians. The latest discussions are taking place behind closed doors, with mediators from Egypt, Qatar, and the United States pressing both sides to agree on terms that would end the fighting. According to insiders, Hamas has signaled a willingness to consider a temporary truce if humanitarian corridors are secured, prisoners are addressed, and international monitors play a role. Israeli officials, however, remain firm that they will not pause operations until they achieve what they call sufficient security guarantees. That means targeting militants, destroying weapons caches, and trying to dismantle underground tunnel networks before committing to any agreement. For families inside Gaza, the situation grows more dire by the day. Entire neighborhoods have been reduced to rubble, and hospitals are struggling with shortages of medicine power and safe water. Parents carry their injured children through overcrowded emergency rooms, while aid workers describe scenes of chaos and desperation. Even as food convoys line up at border crossings, constant airstrikes make delivery nearly impossible. Humanitarian groups say the first priority must be stopping the bombing, because no amount of aid can reach the people who need it most as long as the skies remain filled with fighter jets and drones. On the Israeli side, there is deep anger and grief as well. Rocket attacks launched from Gaza continue to reach towns and cities, sending civilians running for cover. Families who have lost loved ones demand security and argue that ending military operations too soon would only embolden militants. The Israeli government insists that its campaign is about defense and deterrence, not escalation, and warns that leaving Hamas intact could lead to future attacks. For Israeli leaders, agreeing to a ceasefire without first reducing the threat feels politically impossible. This is the heart of the problem. Both sides demand guarantees that the other is unwilling or unable to give. Hamas wants an immediate halt to Israeli strikes before making concessions, while Israel wants to weaken Hamas before agreeing to any truce. Mediators are now attempting to craft a compromise, perhaps a phased agreement where bombings slow in exchange for a pause in rocket fire, followed by humanitarian aid shipments, and then talks on deeper political issues. But such a plan requires a level of trust that has been absent for years. The international community is watching closely. The United Nations has repeatedly called for an end to hostilities, warning that Gaza's humanitarian crisis is spiraling into catastrophe. European governments have echoed these appeals, stressing that international law requires the protection of civilians. Meanwhile, Washington faces growing domestic pressure to push its ally, Israel, toward restraint. U.S. officials walk a tightrope, supporting Israel's right to defend itself, while also urging limits to prevent further civilian suffering. Behind the scenes, American diplomats are said to be frustrated, aware that Israel's current strategy risks undermining the very ceasefire they are trying to broker. At the same time, the regional picture complicates matters further. Lebanon, Syria, and Yemen have all seen flare-ups connected to the Gaza conflict, raising fears of a wider war that could destabilize the Middle East. Iran's involvement through its support of armed groups adds another layer of tension. For Arab governments like Egypt and Jordan, maintaining stability at their borders is critical, and that urgency is pushing them to take a leading role in negotiations. Their message is clear. Without immediate de-escalation, the region risks sliding into a prolonged and uncontrollable crisis. The human toll of delay is staggering. Every hour without a ceasefire means more lives lost, more children orphaned, and more families torn apart. Journalists on the ground report that people are running out of burial space, with makeshift cemeteries appearing in parks and open fields. Survivors describe the unbearable choice between staying in bombed-out homes or fleeing into dangerous, overcrowded shelters. These stories are fueling global outrage, sparking protests in cities from London to New York, where demonstrators demand governments step up pressure for a ceasefire now. Still, analysts caution against assuming that progress in talks automatically translates to peace on the ground. They point out that both sides have, in the past, accepted temporary pauses only to resume hostilities once strategic calculations shifted. The risk is that even if a ceasefire is announced, it may not last unless deeper political issues are addressed, such as Gaza's blockade, the status of prisoners, and Israel's long-term security concerns. Without addressing these root causes, any pause could simply be a prelude to more violence. Yet there remains a sliver of hope. History shows that even bitter conflicts have found off-ramps when the human cost becomes too high. In recent days, the language from mediators has grown more urgent, and there are reports that draft proposals are circulating between capitals. For now, the pressure on Israel to suspend bombing is mounting, and Hamas faces its own internal pressures from civilians demanding relief. The question is whether leaders on both sides will see enough benefit in compromise to halt the bloodshed. As the world watches, Gaza waits. The air is filled with smoke and uncertainty, families cling to hope, and negotiators race against time. Momentum is indeed building for a ceasefire, but unless the bombs stop falling first, momentum may not be enough to turn talks into peace. The next few days could decide whether this is a turning point or just another tragic chapter in a conflict that has already cost far too much. Breaking news: a major clash has erupted between city officials in Chicago and federal authorities over immigration enforcement. Chicago has now declared certain neighborhoods as IC-free zones, sparking both celebration and outrage across the country. Today, we break down what this means, why it's happening, and what could come next. In recent weeks, tensions over immigration enforcement have boiled over in Chicago. After a series of high-profile federal immigration raids in major U.S. cities, Chicago's leadership has taken a bold stand. The city has officially designated multiple neighborhoods as ICE-free zones. This means that immigration and customs enforcement officers are not welcome to operate freely in these areas without special permission or a warrant. Chicago has long been known as a sanctuary city. That means local officials generally do not cooperate with federal authorities when it comes to detaining or deporting undocumented immigrants. But the new move goes even further. City leaders say ICE raids create fear in immigrant communities, break up families, and discourage residents from reporting crimes or seeking medical help. By declaring IC-free zones, the city hopes to protect vulnerable residents and build trust between immigrant families and local government. For many immigrants in Chicago, this announcement has brought a sense of relief. Local advocacy groups held rallies across the city, holding signs that read, "Families belong together," and "Immigrants make Chicago strong." Parents say they no longer have to worry as much about dropping their kids off at school or visiting local hospitals. One resident told reporters, "We just want to live our lives without fear." This gives us some hope, but not everyone agrees with Chicago's move. Federal officials from the Department of Homeland Security have criticized the declaration, calling it a dangerous policy that puts politics over public safety. IC leaders argue that these zones could allow criminals to hide in plain sight, making it harder to enforce immigration law and keep communities safe. Some lawmakers in Washington have even threatened to cut off federal funding to cities that adopt such policies. The announcement has set the stage for a legal and political showdown. While local governments have the power to direct their own police forces, federal agents are not legally bound by city declarations. That means ICE could still carry out operations inside these zones if they choose. The big question now is whether Chicago police will step in to block or resist federal raids. Experts say this situation could lead to lawsuits, court battles, and even a constitutional debate about states' rights versus federal authority. This controversy highlights the growing divide across the U.S. on immigration policy. Supporters of IC-free zones say America should be a place of refuge and opportunity, not fear and deportation. Critics say these policies encourage illegal immigration and weaken national security. The issue is expected to play a major role in upcoming elections as both parties try to appeal to voters concerned about border security and human rights. Behind the political battle are real families caught in the middle. Community centers in Chicago report that many immigrants are still afraid, despite the new policy. Parents worry about being separated from their children, while teenagers fear that friends or classmates could suddenly disappear. At the same time, local organizations are stepping up efforts to provide legal aid, food support, and safe housing for those at risk. So what's next for Chicago? City officials say they will continue to push back against federal immigration raids and will work with other sanctuary cities to form a united front. Legal experts warn that the federal government could take stronger action to enforce immigration law, which could lead to more confrontations on the ground. For now, Chicago remains defiant, insisting that protecting immigrant communities is a matter of justice and human rights. The battle over immigration enforcement is far from over. Chicago's declaration of ICE-free zones has sent a powerful message, but it also raises serious questions about the balance of power between cities and the federal government. As the clash continues, the lives of thousands of immigrant families hang in the balance. Stay tuned for more updates as this story develops. Thanks for watching. If you found this report helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more breaking news analysis. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we bring you one of the most shocking breaking news updates from the Middle East. Reports say that Yemeni forces carried out a powerful tunnel attack that buried several Israeli commanders alive. This news has sent shockwaves across the region and the world as more details slowly come in. Many are already calling this incident a turning point in the growing conflict between Israel and its enemies in the region. According to early reports, the attack happened deep inside a fortified underground tunnel system that the Israeli Defense Forces were using for command and control. Yemeni fighters are said to have planted a number of explosives inside the tunnels. When they detonated, the blast was so strong that it collapsed large parts of the tunnel. The explosions trapped officers and soldiers, including high-ranking commanders, under tons of rubble. The tunnels were so damaged that rescue teams found it nearly impossible to reach them in the first hours. Eyewitnesses and local media outlets say the destruction was much worse than first thought. Videos and leaked photos online, though not yet confirmed, appear to show smoke and fire pouring out of vents above the tunnel system. Rescue crews rushed to the area but faced major problems because of unstable rubble and the risk of more explosions. This made it extremely dangerous to reach those trapped inside. Experts believe the attack was carefully planned. The explosives were placed in a way to block escape routes and cause maximum casualties. Yemeni forces claimed responsibility for the attack, saying it was proof that Israel's most secure and secret military sites are not safe anymore. They also said their intelligence skills have improved greatly and that this operation shows they can target important Israeli leaders even far away from the front lines. Analysts are now debating how the Yemenis got such detailed intelligence. Some think it came from satellites, local informants, or even help from allies like Iran. Whatever the source, the level of planning and knowledge was extremely advanced. The Israeli government has not yet confirmed how many people were killed, but many reports suggest several senior officers were lost in the explosion. Israel's silence has only fueled more speculation online, while Yemeni outlets are calling the operation a huge victory against Israel's military power. Yemeni media say this attack is revenge not just for Israel's actions in Gaza, but also for its wider regional policies that have brought Yemen into the conflict. Military experts warn that if the reports are true, the burial alive of Israeli commanders is one of the most damaging psychological and military blows the IDF has ever faced. Command bunkers and tunnels are usually designed to survive even heavy bombing. But this attack shows that even the strongest fortifications are not fully safe from well-planned strikes. The effects of this event are very serious. Israel is now facing proof that its enemies are not only resilient, but also creative and innovative in how they fight. Tunnel attacks, explosives, and unconventional tactics are not new, but the size and accuracy of this operation are forcing Israel to reconsider how it protects its leadership. Experts believe Israel may retaliate soon, possibly with heavy strikes against Yemen's military positions and supply routes. But such actions also risk widening the conflict into the Red Sea and Gulf areas. Yemeni leaders are calling the attack divine justice, saying it shows the balance of power in the Middle East is changing. They argue that traditional wars usually favor powerful militaries like Israel's, but unconventional tactics such as tunnel attacks and sabotage allow weaker groups to strike back in unexpected ways. This has alarmed not only Israel, but also its allies like the United States and other regional partners, who are now worried about the growing strength of Yemeni forces. As more details come out, the exact method of the attack is still being debated. Some reports suggest the use of advanced seismic sensors or underground mapping to find weak spots in the tunnels. Others claim infiltrators may have placed the explosives directly inside the bunker. If either of these is true, it shows a very high level of preparation and infiltration that raises new concerns for Israeli security. The impact of this event is already visible outside the battlefield. Tensions in the Red Sea shipping lanes are rising, and oil markets have reacted with fear, as people worry the conflict could expand and disrupt global trade. International voices are calling for restraint, but all signs point to more escalation. Yemeni forces feel stronger after this success, while Israel is under pressure to respond quickly and forcefully. The exact number of casualties is still unclear, and both sides are trying to control the story. Yemeni media are highlighting Israeli losses, while Israeli media remain cautious. But even without confirmation, the image of Israeli commanders being trapped underground is powerful and damaging. It has already captured global attention and is shaping how people view the conflict far beyond the battlefield. In the bigger picture, this attack is an example of how modern asymmetric warfare is evolving. Weaker groups are finding new ways to bypass the traditional strengths of bigger militaries. Tunnels, once considered safe, are now being turned into death traps. The Yemeni attack shows that they are becoming smarter and more capable, whether through foreign help or their own innovation. The big question now is how Israel will respond. Some experts think Israel will use precision airstrikes against Yemeni leaders. Others believe cyber attacks or increased naval patrols in the Red Sea could follow. But whatever happens next, the chain of events set off by this tunnel attack is likely to continue shaping headlines in the coming weeks. For now, the Middle East is on edge. The burial alive of Israeli commanders in a collapsed tunnel will be remembered as one of the boldest and most shocking attacks in recent years. Its consequences are only beginning to unfold. Stay with us as we bring you more updates and analysis on how this story affects the region and the wider world.